I am so excited about today's topic. I'm going to be diving into the world of gentle parenting. I get so many comments on this channel about gentle parenting, and I really feel like a lot of my clients are also very interested in gentle parenting, and I think that they are kind of curious about my perspective on it. What do I actually feel and think about gentle parenting? And so, my hope is today I can give you a better understanding of why I think that gentle parenting doesn't work for parents, what permissive parenting is, because this term I feel like is very much associated with gentle parenting. I'm going to talk about why I'm not a fan of gentle parenting, which might seem odd. And then I'm also going to dive into the misconceptions of gentle parenting and really what I believe is the things that parents are not seeing or getting right. And so, yeah, we're going to be chatting through all of that. As always, I have my notes here, so I'm going to be constantly coming back in, making sure I'm staying on track because I am so passionate about this work. I love this work so much, and I could sit here and talk and share with you about all the parenting things for hours and hours and hours. And so I just want to make sure that I stay on track because, yeah, as you guys know, I love to talk. I love to have these kinds of real conversations. So I'm guessing that you clicked on this video because you are frustrated, you're confused. Why is gentle parenting not working for me? I want it to work. It seems like a great concept. It seems like something that should be a great thing, and yet it's not working for my family. I have other people who message me and just say gentle parenting is terrible, it's ruining children. And they have this mindset that and kind of an authoritarian style of parenting is what is going to correct these children's behavior. They kind of are blaming gentle parenting for how kids are behaving today. And I'm just going to start out by coming out and being bold and saying that it is not these parents' fault why gentle parenting isn't working. It's not the fault of the children. It is a fault of the parent. The parent not having what I believe is a regulated nervous system. I believe this is the key, the absolute key to gentle parenting. If you are interested in a gentle parenting approach, you need to be working on yourself first. I mean, that is where it starts from. If you cannot teach and model and be able to be there consistently for your child, then gentle parenting is not going to work for you. And so if this seems like a lot of work right now, you probably have a dysregulated nervous system. That's probably where you are at. And for some people, this is really triggering to hear. And I'm like, well, that's because you're in a dysregulated state. Your body is not in safety, it's not in calm. And so I find that a lot of people who lean more towards that authoritative parenting style, who believe really in that kind of power over, this would seem like a lot of work for them to be able to show up completely regulated and calm and to be able to be there for their children. I would argue that it is 10 times more work than a parent who spanks their child, puts them in timeout. And in the short term, it may feel like it's working, which I'll get to as one of the misconceptions a little later on. But I do not believe that gentle parenting is the cause for children's behaviors, which we'll chat through in a bit. It's not the problem. The problem is the parents. The problem is that parents are not being educated about how to anchor themselves, how to have regulation within themselves. They're getting all these tools on how to gentle parent, and they're not thinking about step one. It's like we're skipping, we're going past the very first step, which is ourselves. We need to be right within ourselves. We need to be grounded and rooted in who we are. And when we can parent from that place, that's when true change within our families come, not just within our children, but within our families, because it starts from us. It starts from our marriage, from our spouse, from our interactions. How we model behavior is crucial. But we will get into all of that in a little bit. So I believe that when we as parents do not feel safe, we do not feel confident within ourselves, we kind of go haywire. We don't know how to show up. And instead of showing up with curiosity and empathy and compassion for our children, we are coming in with fight. And when we're coming in with that fight and we're like, you just hit me, go in time out, that's telling our children that when something big comes up and I don't know what to do with it, I need to retreat. I need to go in my room. I need to run away from my feelings. And that's scary for me when we talk about that more authoritative parenting style. But what could be scarier for me is we kind of lean into this permissive parenting style where we don't do anything at all. And I think that that's where a lot of parents have landed, is in this permissive parenting style if they're trying to implement gentle parenting, because they are dysregulated. They are in a freeze state, which I will talk more about later. And so I guess this video today, my hope is to give you some guidance in how to parent, and maybe gentle parenting in specific doesn't work for you, and that is okay. Maybe implementing your strengths and your values and coming from that place feels more comfortable. And for me, not attaching myself to a name, to a parenting style, gave me so much freedom. And when I began thinking about what mattered to me, what my values were as a mother and as a human being, I was able to parent my children through that lens, and there was absolute breakthrough and change. And I was actually just talking to a client last night, and she very much felt the same way. And as I was talking to her, I was just feeling this overwhelmed feeling of like, I just need more parents to know this. I need more parents to know that gentle parenting isn't to blame. Influencers aren't to blame. And maybe influencers are to blame, but rather I think that there's just not enough education for us as parents. And so that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you as a parent. I'm not here to tell you how to raise your child. I'm not here to tell you how to discipline your child. That's not my scope. My scope is to be there for you and to support you as a parent. So let me get into 4 reasons why I believe that gentle parenting does not work. Or I shouldn't say does not work, why it doesn't work for you, why it's not working for you in your home right now. And so the first reason is that we have that dysregulated nervous system, which I had talked about earlier. And so I want you to think of the last moment that you were in an issue with your child, you were in a disagreement, and you came into the room, and how did you approach it? Did you just come in and you're like with judgment? Hey, what's going on? Why is everybody yelling? Is that how you're coming in? Or are you coming in with empathy and curiosity, a softness, a nurturing, especially if you're a mother? Is that how you're coming in? Or if you're a father, are you coming in with very much a confidence that you're here to help them work through this situation? And my guess is no, right? Most of us are not able to do that because we don't know how to. And so working on that nervous system starts with things like chiropractic care. If you want to break through, I just recorded an episode, which hasn't come out yet, with a good friend that is a chiropractor. And we talked all about how chiropractic care can break through. And I I just loved this. It was so helpful, and this was part of my journey. And I, looking back, realized just how much this helped me to break through with my nervous system. You can do things like somatics. You can do simple things like just breathing, right? Like taking deep breaths, finding some grounding tools. I've mentioned in many videos, just putting your hand on your chest and just kind of pushing hard, and you just can feel the self empathy. Maybe you're really needing a hug and giving yourself that butterfly hug. Oh, and just hugging yourself, right? Like finding ways to start calming your nervous system. And the key here, though, is like, yes, do this in a moment where you're feeling like you need regulation, but let's exercise what it feels like to be in calm when we are already in calm or we're close to calm, right? And so maybe there's a middle of the day moment when you could go spend 10 minutes and clean out that cabinet, because it would give you instant gratification. But what if instead we took a blanket, we laid it out on the grass, and we just laid there with our children? That's what I did yesterday, by the way. And it was the most freeing moment for me, because yes, I could have cleaned this cabinet. It would have given me instant gratification, but I was in this state of calm. So let me just nurture this moment of calm and give myself more calm so I can feel it. And let me tell you, the feeling is so good. I mean, your whole body just radiates with just this peace and this calm. And we all need that to be able to I don't want to say reconnect. Yeah, but I guess like reconnect with ourselves, right? And so anyway, I'm noticing these are all over the place. Anyway, so the second thing that I think parents struggle with gentle parenting is not knowing how to communicate. We have all of these templates and these like these different verbiage that we could use. We have outlines. We have what is the word I'm looking for? Like scripts. There we go. That we should be using with our child. And why isn't this working with my child? And it's like, it's inauthentic. That's something I love about respectful parenting that Janet Lansbury constantly talks about is, are we, as a parent, are we communicating with our child effectively? Are we communicating with our child what we're needing, what they're feeling? Are we able to tell them, like, hey, right now what you're doing, like, is not okay. This behavior is not okay. Although, here's what you could do better, right? Like, are we constantly focusing on the no, 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 and not giving them other options of yeses, right? Like, especially with toddlers. Toddlers have zero idea right from wrong. Zero. They have no idea. They're learning. And so if we just tell them no, 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 they don't know what a yes, yes, yes is. So let's find the yeses for them. Let's give them yes options, right? And so that for me was huge, learning communication. If you want to dive more into communication, you can look into nonviolent communication. I also am currently creating an entire course, and the first module is on communication. So if that is something that interests you, the link is below. That is called, oh my goodness, I need I need a drink. Hang on here. Okay. That is called the Heart of Parenting Curriculum. And so if that interests you, if you are like, yes, I am needing guidance on communication, that will help you. All right. The third thing that I think is honestly crucial in gentle parenting is healing yourself as a parent and understanding your story. Because what you are going through, what you are feeling frustrated with, fearful of in your child is simply a trigger from your own childhood. And often it is so hard for us to see and understand what that is, because we are in the snow globe, right? Like instead of being like outside looking into the snow globe, we are inside the snow globe and all we can see is what's going on inside. And so when we can kind of come outside of that, which is something I help clients do in coaching, we can start to pinpoint what areas are sticking for you. Why is this irritating you so much that your child will not clean their room? Is it because you really struggled to clean your room as a child? Was it because there was judgment placed on you for being more messy? What is going on for you? And so understanding your triggers, your story, and making that narrative, understanding the belief that's underneath that, and then finding a new supportive belief that you are going to start working on, you're going to start working towards, right? That is going to be absolutely magical and pivotal. So the last thing that I think parents struggle with when it comes to gentle parenting is confidence. I think they have no idea of boundaries. I think they don't know how to implement boundaries. Is this a logical boundary? Is this a natural consequence? Is this what am I doing here and how am I doing that? And that is why I help clients to understand what they are valuing, what their strengths are, so they can parent from that place. So they're parenting from sureness, they're parenting from this inner confidence. And when we can come to our child with full confidence, we can communicate effectively. We can tell them like what is going on for us and what we're needing from them and what we're expecting of them. We can have communication back and forth where we're compromising and understanding that our children are human, right? They are human. They have human experiences. They have human thoughts. They have human desires, right? Just like you and me, they want to do their own thing. They may have a need for autonomy. This seems to be one that so many kids struggle with because we as parents can be so controlling because we have a life, right? We have things we have to get done. And so let's consider for a second, maybe it's a need for consideration, but let's consider our child's experience, their point of view. Let's get on their level. And let's see if right now, are they just not picking up their room because they really want to disobey us? Probably not. They probably don't want to pick up their room because they're having fun right now. They want to do their own thing. And especially with little kids, it's hard to encourage them to just do the thing, right? Like with older kids, you can have conversation and that feels a little easier. But then with younger kids, it's like, how do I get this kid to clean their room? And coming from that place of, am I showing up with my values? Which, for myself, my number one value is connection. So if I am showing up with connection with my children every single time, that's my number one priority, then everything should follow suit, right? The last part of confidence for me is being able to tell my children exactly what I'm needing from them without question. Knowing deep in my soul that this is what I'm needing, whether it be cooperation, ease, honesty, patience, consideration, whatever I'm needing from them in that moment, being able to communicate that. And that is where that communication piece, which again, I'm teaching in the Heart of Parenting course, it's like that piece is key. That is crucial to a parent knowing how to show up for their child and being able to have clear conversation. And by the way, this starts when your child is a baby. This doesn't start when they're 4 years old and you feel like they are starting to understand things. I have the same conversations with my almost 4-year-old that I do with my 2-year-old. The same exact conversations. We started having these conversations when my youngest was about 15 months, and I wish I had done it sooner. I've heard this time and time again, but treat them like humans. Don't talk to them like babies. They're not. They're humans, and they deserve that. And so that is why I think I keep going back to communication, you guys, because to me, that is so important in helping us to effectively gentle parent. So I want to get into the misconceptions of gentle parenting that are probably going to blow your mind. It's probably going to shock you that these misconceptions are honestly very silly and they're kind of made up by social media, by influencers, by people who do not know anything about gentle parenting, and they are triggered by gentle parenting for some reason. And so I feel like in the TikTok, Instagram realm, gentle parenting gets a really bad rap. It is considered this bad, horrible thing when I feel like the people who are talking about gentle parenting have no idea what they're talking about. They've read something on parenting.com and decided that they're an expert now. And my question is, you may be a parent, and that is 100% true, but have you educated yourself fully on all of these other areas that make up gentle parenting? Or are you just coming at it from one perspective? And that's my hope here is I want to give you many perspectives so you can see how you want to parent. It's not me to tell you how to parent, right? I am not a parenting coach that I'm going to be like, hey, this is what you should say to your kid. This is what you should do. I want it to come from you because that's authentic and that's real. And that's the relationship we are trying to create with our child. So let's just cut to the chase. The first most common misconception of gentle parenting is it's permissive parenting. It's non-parenting, right? And I think that we have taken the word gentle parenting and we have just used it to replace permissive parenting. I think that we as a society have kind of started to lean more into permissive parenting because we are so dysregulated. Our bodies are so stuck in this fight and flight. And when we get so tired of that, we end in freeze. And freeze looks like permissiveness. And so I think my fear is that we are not educating parents about themselves. We're not giving them the tools to heal themselves in their story and having a better understanding of what is going on for them. And so what tends to happen is we lean more into permissive parenting because we don't know what to do. We're confused. There's so much information nowadays. You guys, I feel bad sometimes making so much content because I feel like it's information overload. But I so badly want you to believe in yourself. I want you to parent from your intuition. As I mentioned earlier, from your values, from your strengths. I want you to parent from that place. And so I don't want you to listen to all the parenting advice out there. I want you to believe in yourself that you know best and with the tools and the resources to know how to do that effectively, right? Like things like, for me, communication is huge. Let's learn how to communicate with our child. So let's dive into nonviolent communication. Let's get to understand that. And I feel like that is just huge for parents. I think that is a huge moment when a parent can say, I don't need this excess information. And I think that that helps parents to kind of come out of that very permissive style. And so I think that it's important to note here that gentle parenting is not permissive parenting, and it needs to stop being put into the same category. It is time that influencers who have these big channels and they're making all this content to get more views about gentle parenting, they stop. They stop being so bold in their approach because they do not know what they're talking about. And if I could sit down, if anybody wants to have me on their channel, please call me. I think that this trend of confusing gentle parenting with permissive parenting absolutely needs to come to an end and it needs to stop. So that's why in just a little while, I'm going to do a whole segment here on permissive parenting and kind of the difference between that and a more gentle approach. The second misconception is that validating feelings means that we allow all behaviors for any feelings. And I can see how parents get confused with the word validating because validating is very triggering for some in that they think that any and all behaviors are okay and that a gentle parent is saying that or telling their child that or teaching their child that. And honestly, this makes me go ew inside because I'm like, This is not gentle parenting. This is not the intention of gentle parenting. For me, it's so important to build that emotional intelligence. I want my child to know what feelings are going on inside of their body. And that's why I like using the word acknowledging versus validating. Validating, I should have written down the definition, but validating is more of saying this is okay, and acknowledging is saying this is happening, right? And so let's differentiate those two here and say that we need to acknowledge our child's feelings. So that way, when they have a behavior, they know how to handle it, right? And I want to help my child to recognize the feelings in their body. So when they start feeling whatever that sensation is, for my oldest, she'll say, like, Mama, I'm getting angry, and my head right here, it goes, ugh. And I think how accurate that probably is for her, right? Like, she's so good at expressing that. But had I not asked her, had I not been teaching her about what I'm feeling in my body, when she starts to notice that tingling, she comes to me and says, Mama, I'm feeling that thing in my head. I need help. And I'm like, girl, let me help you. And so it's like, I want to be there to teach her and help her to know how to work through these feelings, because in and of itself, feelings are not bad. Even feelings like anger and frustration and sadness are actually really useful. They're those red flags that are like, oh, hey, something's going on here. I need to alert myself. And that's a good thing. We need that as a survival and a protective mechanism for our bodies. And we just need to teach our children how to use those effectively. So that's why I do not like this misconception that we should not acknowledge feelings or validate feelings or whatever word you want to insert there. I think that it's really important that we validate our child's experience. And my fear is when we invalidate that child's experience, that we are shutting off all their feelings. So let's just say they're feeling angry and frustrated, and we're telling them, stop feeling angry, stop feeling frustrated. Just ignore them. Let them just cry on the ground. Just let them do their thing. Let them figure it out, right? We're not teaching them how to work through that, right? And so they're stuck in this fight or flight, and they're like, well, what do I do here? And how often do we feel that way and we don't know what to do there, right? Because we were never taught, we were never given the tools. So let's learn as parents how to feel these feelings, how to move on past these feelings, what to do, the calming tools, the things that we need to say to ourselves to get us back down to calm. Let's regulate our bodies, as I talked about previously, about nervous system regulation, how I think this is key for gentle parenting, right? But let's not shut down our child's feelings, because when we shut down their feelings, they're either going to go into complete shutdown, right? Which is they do stop crying, they do stop all the behaviors, and they no longer are expressing how to get their basic needs met, which might be connection or understanding or autonomy. And we're not doing that for them by shutting off their emotion. And so this is why I really want this misconception to stop. I want us to start using words like acknowledging a feeling and helping our child work through it, letting them have a very real human experience that you and I have every single day. And let's just be there to guide them through it. So the next part of this I want to talk about, or the next misconception I want to talk about, is my child's behavior is proof that insert parenting style works. So many threads that I've read about why people don't like gentle parenting. And these people typically are more an authoritative style of parenting. And they will say things like, well, me spanking my child is proof, or hold on, let me re-say that. I'm still not saying this right. Hang on. Let me formulate this in my head. Okay, so my child no longer hitting their sibling after I've spanked them for their hitting is proof that authoritative parenting works. Okay, that's not true. Not true at all. Just like I talked about just a few minutes ago, this is telling them that you need to shut that feeling off. It's closing the pathway. It's like, nope, no more. Nope. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to feel it. I don't ever want a child to be in shutdown. They are not learning anything. They are learning to say, I cannot let other people know about my feelings and emotions. And so they're going to just bottle it up instead. And I promise you that is 10 times worse, 10 times more problematic than you allowing that child to feel and to be whatever they're feeling. Again, not saying that the behaviors they're doing are okay and that we're saying, oh, it's totally fine to hit your sister, go ahead. Not that at all. Rather, acknowledging that feeling, acknowledging what was going on for them, and figuring out what that need is, which I will be explaining so much more in my Heart of Parenting course, which is coming out. You can link that, the link is below. So if you are interested in that, you can check that out. But I think that something that really scares me about the whole, well, my child's behavior is proof, right? What scares me is that we tell our children that you must disconnect from yourself in order to survive. You must disconnect in order to belong or to fit in. And I think I, as a parent, needed to realize my child's behavior wasn't about me. This is what I teach in coaching, or what I help parents do in coaching, is differentiate that you as a parent are feeling triggered by this child's behavior because of your childhood, because of an experience you've had. And this is not your child's fault. The judgment, the anxiousness, the fear that you feel around this behavior has nothing to do with your child. And when there is confidence in ourselves and how we show up as a parent, this is going to absolutely change our child's experience and how they learn to navigate these really hard moments when they are feeling really angry and they do hit their sister. How can I do that better next time? What is a different path I can choose? And they're only going to learn that through you and through your modeling. I want you to remember that a child's behavior is simply a symptom for an unmet need. If you need a list of needs, because I keep mentioning them, the link is below, and that is so helpful in helping you to know how to help your child through what they're going through. It gives you kind of a guide on like, okay, my child is feeling really frustrated and now they are really needing some, reassurance that they're going to get their block back. And I can do that, right? I can give them what they are needing in that moment. And imagine if as adults, we have that lens of, instead of having confrontation and being mad at the other person and never saying anything and shutting down, we come to them and we say, hey, I'm needing this. What are you needing? Right? Imagine if that was our conversation. We'd have so many more long-lasting, beautiful, fruitful friendships. And I want to raise children who have that knowledge and that ability. I also want to say here that a child who is really well-behaved scares the crap out of me. When I see a very well-behaved kid in public, I'm like, what's going on at home? What scare tactics are you using? What fear-based, shame-based tactics are you using to get your child to stop? I can't tell you how many times I've seen a parent try to very quietly scare their child into not doing something in public. And I do not think to myself, wow, your kids are so well behaved and they are such good kids. Maybe to the outside world, but from a parenting coach perspective, that's not my thought. I'm actually very concerned for the child and I'm worried about how they're going to internalize that. So all of this to say, I do not believe that a child's behavior is a reflection of our parenting. I think our children are humans. They have human experiences. And I do believe that gentle parenting, when done right, I believe is so incredibly effective for children. I really do. And I do want to say I do see proof, right? I see proof in my kids. My kids are not perfect. If you know me or you've been around me, you know that my kids are far from perfect. But I believe that I am teaching my children the tools to have this emotional intelligence, this compassion, this empathy, to be able to survive. I want children who are resilient, who are understanding, who care about another person's feelings and needs. And I can only do that through modeling. And I cannot model those things as a very authoritative parent. So that's my thoughts. The last misconception that is very common is that gentle parenting is coddling or spoiling a child. And I just want to stop this like right here. I want to be like, nope, nope, nope. Don't even want to go into it. But no, I believe that we are our child's teacher. We are their guide, right? So we want to have confidence and trust in ourselves, knowing how to set boundaries, how to communicate, how to model, how to apologize. And this gives us the tools to move forward, right? So again, this is why I'm creating that Heart of Parenting curriculum, because I want to give parents the tools that they are needing to not coddle their children, to not spoil their children. And I think that, again, when we land more on that permissive parenting side of things, this is when that starts to happen, because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know our values. We don't know our strengths. And we don't know really where we're parenting from. And so having a blueprint, having an understanding of, this is how I want to parent, this is how I want to show up as a parent, is crucial to me. And it is so important in helping us to show up as the parents that our children really, really need. So let's see. Let me get my notes up here. Okay. So I am not a fan of gentle parenting as a parenting coach. And this might surprise some people that I do not like gentle parenting as a parenting coach. And I really don't like gentle parenting because of what influencers have done on Instagram, TikTok, all the things. I can remember at the very beginning of my journey, I really was into gentle parenting. And the more that I started researching it and the more I started seeing things on the internet, I would cringe. I was embarrassed to say that I was gentle parenting. And it wasn't until I went to school that I was like, no, this is 1,000% where I'm supposed to be. And I think that I was so worried about the judgment and what other people would think of me if they knew I was gentle parenting or they saw me gentle parenting. They'd be like, oh, you're a pushover. Oh, your kid, they're going to walk all over you. Your kid's going to be crazy. You just validate feelings, which are all the things that I talked about in the most common misconceptions of gentle parenting, really breaking those down. But I think that I am not a fan of what the world has made gentle parenting out to be. And there are some made up gentle parenting things that I do not like. And I say made up because I feel like it has evolved. I think what it started out as was actually really helpful. And I think that so many parents have leaned into the permissive side of parenting because so much of our society is stuck in either fight or fight or flee or freeze. And so when we are stuck there and we are unable to get ourselves unstuck, we're obviously going to fall into permissive parenting. And when we have childhood traumas, which all of us do, big traumas, little traumas, I know that's kind of triggering for some people, but even if you didn't have a traumatic childhood, you may have some things that are still triggering you from the way your parents parented, and that is okay, by the way, totally normal. We all do. It's about understanding our story. It's about understanding where we've come from and helping ourselves to feel confident as a parent. So we can be the gentle, soft, loving, kind mother, and maybe the confident and loving father that our children need, right? And so I'm going to share a few things that I do not like about gentle parenting that I feel like has been made up by influencers and people who claim to be gentle parenting coaches and things, and they are not. They're just parents who have tried gentle parenting. So the first thing is, I do not like the scripts. They require us to do a lot of talking as parents. And I feel like gives parents that like authoritative feel without doing the physical, like hitting, spanking stuff that a typical authoritative parenting would do in a moment. And so I don't like that we're constantly talking at our child, it feels like, or that's kind of what is taught in gentle parenting. I don't think purposefully, but it's kind of how it comes across. And I find so many of my clients fall into talk mode and trying to fix it mode instead of just having a real open conversation with their child. So I really want to stop the scripts. I really don't like scripts. I do not like telling people what to say or how to say it, but sometimes scripts are helpful, right? So we know how to have a conversation, but I want that to come from within you. I want there to be a real, honest, authentic conversation with your child. And so I think that's huge. I think that's huge in helping you to have relationship, connection, and real change within a child's behavior. The next thing that I do not like about gentle parenting is often parents are telling their child how they're feeling. We aren't asking. In my world, I like to use the word empathy guesses. Okay. Empathy guesses are like, hey, I'm noticing that you were kicking that ball. Are you feeling a little frustrated right now? Right? Like asking because we're curious, we're unsure. But I would be really careful not to do this with an older child, right? Like a toddler, they have no idea about feelings. So it's really good for us to, kind of make those empathy guesses. But as our children start getting older, I mean, even my 4-year-old, I really try not to ask, or I try not to tell her what she's feeling. Rather, I want to ask her. And as we've begun expanding her vocabulary and I get more context about what she's feeling, I feel like I am giving her more words to say versus, me really kind of overpowering and trying to make her understand what's going on. I do not want to do that. The next thing is, I don't feel like gentle parenting teaches what to do with feelings. I think, again, I want to keep re-saying this. These are all the things that I think gentle parenting in today's culture has made up. And I do not believe at its core this was what was intended. But this is just kind of what has been coming up through comments and forums and all these, Facebook groups that I've been reading. And I'm just realizing that gentle parenting is not what it was originally intended to be. And so these are the kind of things that are used now as gentle parenting. And anyway. Okay. So I do not believe that it teaches what to do with feelings. I believe that we do need to help our child, understand their feelings. That's a huge component and we should. But now what do we do with that? Like, let's give them tools of what they can do instead. Let's give them other options. And this is really easy for a toddler, right? We can give them choices, 1 or 2 choices, right? Or 1 or 2 different ideas. But with an older child, we want to give them that space to think, how could I have done this differently? What would I like to do next time, right? Like, it gives them that space. And if they are struggling to come up with something, that's when you can come in. But at least first, let's hear them out. Let's hear what their ideas are. Let's give them that voice. How beautiful it will be when they have that voice, because we as parents feel like that's our job, right? It's to let our child feel heard and to feel valued, even if we don't think that's the best option. We want to nurture where they're at, nurture what their ideas are, and then help guide them into some really useful ways. And so I think that we need to do a better job of that. I think we need to do a better job. And I think that we as parents don't know what else to do. Like, don't hit your sibling, don't hit your sibling, don't hit your sibling. Well, what can I do instead? Let's give them tools. Let's give them tools on how to calm their bodies down. Let's learn about nervous system regulation because, as I mentioned in an earlier video, it's like that is the key to gentle parenting in my mind. If you cannot have a regulated nervous system, if you feel completely all over the place, yeah, no wonder you can't gentle parent. You're not confident. You don't feel calm. You don't feel ready. We can use all the scripts in the world, but we're not going to be able to just show up for our child if we're not regulated. So I think it's important that we teach our children what to do when they're having these feelings. The last thing that I do not like about the gentle parenting approach of today is I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on the parent to get it right. I think that there are so many do this, do that, and there's so many rules, and I don't think it was intended to be rules. I don't think that there was supposed to be scripts and all of these things. I think it was supposed to be a very heartfelt thing coming from a parent. And so I would love to take this, I don't even know, this approach, this idea of needing to get it right and tell you that you don't need to get it right. You just need to have really good apologies. You just need to know how to apologize to your child, which is what I teach in the Heart of Parenting curriculum. If you are interested in that, the link is below. But it is so important to know how to apologize, to have that in your back pocket for when you don't get it right, because we are not going to get it right. But how beautiful is it when we don't get it right and we get to model and show our children how to handle that? It's so cool because you cannot tell me that your child is never going to feel angry ever in their life and say something they didn't mean. They absolutely will. And how will they handle that? That is where the beauty and the magic happens right there. So now that I've said all the reasons why I don't like this made-up version of gentle parenting, my parenting approach is more a parenting with or a parent-centric approach. When I went to school, which was through the JAI Institute for Parenting, I was blown away by this idea. But at first I was really confused. I was like, how does this even work? Like, how does it come from me? But if I could boil it down to one thing without being centered as a parent, I cannot parent. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. And so the very first thing that I think of with this parenting with parenting style is knowing your values, knowing your strengths, and approaching every situation with that in mind. The second thing is modeling and teaching and not falling into that dictating type relationship or even best friend relationship, right? Like of course, like my daughter right now, she calls me her best friend. And I love it. I think it's so sweet. But I want to be careful to not treat our relationship like we're completely best friends. Because if we were completely best friends, I probably wouldn't ever tell her, like, this is what I would want you to. I don't know. As I'm sitting here, maybe I would. Maybe because me and my friends, I mean, we're really close, and like I would let them know what I was feeling and what I was needing, and I would probably make a request. So I don't know. Maybe that was a bad example, but I think that my idea here rather is that we don't want to fall into either that authoritative or that permissive parenting style. We really want to stay in that modeling kind of teacher mindset. The next thing that I find is really important is clear communication, boundaries, and connection, which again, I'm teaching in the Heart of Parenting curriculum. And this is crucial to me. If you do not know how to communicate, if you do not know how to set boundaries, what boundaries are important to you, and how to connect with your child, it's going to be really hard to parent. Because you're just essentially walking around trying to, get rid of all of their weaknesses, and you're not falling into or helping them to, or supporting them through their positive strengths, which is something I want to do a whole video on. But I'll just leave you with that little tidbit. The next thing is I want to teach emotional intelligence, and I can't do that in this dictator, authoritative state. And I also can't do it in a permissive state because I'm kind of a pushover at that point. So I need to find this middle ground where I'm parenting with my child and I'm teaching them how to how to feel emotion, what to do with the emotion, which I talked a lot about earlier. The last thing that I believe a parenting with approach does is it looks at behaviors as symptoms rather than the problem. And so it's really helpful in allowing us to dig deeper and to understand what's going on for our child. It's able to actually get to the root of what's going on for them so this behavior doesn't continue. I think that I've mentioned this so many times, but we put a band-aid over our child by being, hitting, spanking, all of those authoritative things. And then by ignoring the behavior or just kind of being that permissive style of parenting, we tell our child, you've kind of figured it out on your own. I don't know. I don't even know. So how do you know? And a child needs confidence from us, and clear understanding of what we are expecting of them. If you want to know more about my parenting style, my approach, what I think as a parenting coach, I have a complete live that I did all about what my parenting style is. I will make sure to link that below. But yeah, it's really important that you solidify what you believe as a parent. If you could take anything away from this video, that's what I hope that you get. And I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it helped you to get a better understanding of why gentle parenting isn't bad, right? But there are aspects that we have created as a society. And I hope that we can kind of get back to this more parenting with, because I think we're going to have a lot more success rather than just falling into these very extremes. And I think that that's going to be more hurtful to our children than helpful. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the whole permissive parenting. I am afraid that we have replaced gentle parenting or permissive parenting with gentle parenting. I think that we as parents I can't say as parents, as a society, I think that we've really messed up. I wish that more parents knew that gentle parenting is not the problem, permissive parenting is. And I think that there's too much information out there about the bad of gentle parenting, how horrible it is, and I think it's really confusing people. And so I'm here to set the record straight and tell you that gentle parenting is an easy way to fall into permissive parenting. So many of the comments that I read of people who are actually authoritative parents, this kind of power over parent, they say, you're just, you're a pushover. You don't care what your kids do. You just validate feelings, which I talk all about in my misconceptions of gentle parenting video. But I really want to dig into here. Are you accidentally being a gentle or a permissive parent? Are you, with good heart and good intention, trying to gentle parent, but your body is so confused, it's stuck in freeze? I find so often that parents who are permissive are stuck in freeze because of their story, because of their triggers, because they don't know what to do. I mean, sometimes just information overload, right, can cause us to go into freeze. And so I want to completely, change up the game here. And I want to be bold and say that gentle parenting is not the problem. Permissive parenting is. I know that that's bold to say, but I think that we have literally replaced permissive parenting with gentle parenting. I think that we have associated this whole gentle parenting with non-parenting. And those are two very, very different things. I think that parents have good intentions. I think they really want to show up as a gentle parent, but they have this dysregulated nervous system that they don't know how to handle. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to take these feelings because they were never taught how to handle them and figure out what to do with them. So a permissive parent typically just does nothing. Where authoritative parent, who's probably really stuck in fight or flight, is going to fight, right? They're going to put the kid in timeout. And a permissive parent is more just going to let them just do whatever. They have no energy. And I don't think that the children of today are to blame for their behaviors. I think that parents were not given the tools on how to regulate themselves. So I think they're completely dysregulated. They're lacking connection. They're lacking safety within themselves. And so my hope is that this content will start to reach parents who want to learn about how to show up regulated so they can be confident, they can be calm, they can be ready to engage with their child and dig into the root of what is going on for them. And so I am very passionate about helping clients to figure that out. And so this video was very much inspired by some comments that I was reading on a thread about how terrible gentle parenting is. And I just kept reading permissive parenting. And so I want you to see the difference between a more gentle approach, which actually in the video I talked about why I'm not a fan of gentle parenting. I talk a little bit about my approach to parenting, this more parenting with. And so if you want more information on that, you can head over to that video. But I want a parenting with dynamic, which is very much in cooperation. It's not a power over and it's not a power under, but it's a togetherness. Because in that moment, we're teaching our child relationship. When we are modeling, we're teaching our child how to have this relationship. That's when they're learning. They're not learning from our punishments. We're just shutting everything off at that point. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 ways that I think parents are leaning into gentle parenting, into permissive parenting, and how I think that parents should be doing things. I don't like using the word should, but there's more parenting with. So I guess it's a parenting with versus a permissive parenting. What do those two things look like? And before I even get into these, I would love for you to comment below on what gentle parenting like things feel like permissive parenting or look like permissive parenting, because I'm sure there's a lot more than I have listed here, because I just have like 5 of like the top that I see over and over again. But I'm also, like I said, going to give you solutions. So we're going to talk about one, the permissive things that you possibly could be doing, and secondly, what you can be doing to have that more parenting with, parent-centric dynamic with your child. So the first thing is a permissive parent is letting their child act out in any which way with uncertainty of what to do. Yeah, you can imagine, I'm sure you can picture and you've probably seen it, a child just running all over and the parent just having no confidence in what to do. And this more parenting with dynamic is when a parent has a firm boundary, logical consequences, they're very sure of how to approach this situation. They come in with confidence. And that is very important when we are parenting children. They need that confidence from us. It really helps them to feel very sure, very safe within their bodies. The second thing is permissive parents are fearful of conflict. They see their child melting and they're just like, oh, we need to make it stop. It's not a fixing. I mean, it is a fixing, but authoritative is more fixing. Like, we need to stop this right now. It needs to stop. And permissive is just like, oh boy, we're just going to let that go. Oh, I don't know what to do with that. And so this parenting with dynamic is being fully present and confident in helping our child navigate the behavior. We're not afraid of it. We don't want to shy away from it. We want to help them because we know that this is a teaching moment. This is a moment that they get to learn how to react and how to respond and what to do with the feelings and what they're needing and how to make it a repair. And this is all so important. So I think that if you find yourself falling into feeling fearful, I would encourage you to really start looking within yourself, start doing that inner work so you understand what you value, what your strengths are, so you have that to kind of propel you as you are engaging with your child. The next thing is permissive parents are really afraid to use their voice. As you can tell, they kind of just shrink. And that's why I find that they're typically in freeze. They just kind of shrink. And I feel like my body just wants to go like this because they're just like, oh, I don't want to talk. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to upset. I just want to tiptoe around. And like I said, this is typically from their childhood, how they were raised, what they were taught to do with their feelings. But a parenting with dynamic is clearly communicating what we are feeling and what we are needing as parents, and then helping our child to understand what they're feeling and what they're needing. This comes from nonviolent communication. If you're unfamiliar with that, I highly recommend looking into it. I have linked below the feelings and needs list from nonviolent communication. This is like the cornerstone of my my work here. I love nonviolent communication. I'm still learning how to use it, but it's been pivotal for me and how I show up as a parent. But I think the key here is knowing how to communicate and also communicating with those feelings and needs, because it changes everything. And so when we can do that, we really show up again with that confidence, which is huge as a parent. The next thing is a permissive parent just ignores the child. And sometimes it's even when they're doing something good, they just like don't want to give any kind of feedback to the child. And I think that a more parenting with approach is getting curious about a child's behavior or what they're doing. So let's say a child does hit, instead of just ignoring it and saying, oh, this is not happening, I didn't see that. It's coming in and being curious. Hey, what's going on for you? And again, going through those feelings and needs, which will help them to understand what's going on for them. The last thing that I find permissive parenting is not having confidence in themselves, which I think you could see in all of these, but I just wanted to like give this its own point, because when I was doing a video about motherly intuition, it became very clear to me that this is a gift that we were given. And I want to help more parents to have this, this deep trust within themselves that they know how to parent their child. They know what their child is needing and what they're feeling, what's going on for them, and how to navigate that. And that is why I'm actually in the process of creating the Heart of Parenting curriculum. I want to give parents these tools and these resources so they feel confident. They feel like they have a blueprint of how to handle situations when they come up. Because for me, there's 4 areas. There's communication, there's connection, there's boundaries, and there's apologies. And when we can learn how to do all those things really well, we can start to trust ourselves, because we're like, okay, we have all this information. Sometimes information is information overload, right? But there are other times where we need to be able to go within ourselves and to trust who we were made to be as a mother, because I believe that we were all created to be this child's mother, right? Or this, child's father. We were all created for that purpose and for this specific child. And so I think we need to tap back into who we are, who we were created to be, and knowing ourselves and having that self-compassion for ourselves so we can show up and be the parent that our child needs. So I hope that this video is helpful. I hope that it helps you to have a better understanding of permissive parenting versus gentle parenting versus kind of that authoritative parenting. If you're interested in knowing, okay, what's the difference between authoritative parenting and the parenting with dynamic, comment below, because I want to do a video on it. I'm just kind of still trying to figure out all the details within there and how I want to present that. But yeah, anyway, I hope that this was helpful. As always, if you need anything, you have any questions, you are more than welcome to email me at Alexis@slowishparenting.com. Alrighty, guys, I will see you next week.